Welcome to the Solid Verbal.
The Solid Verbal.
Come after me! I'm a man! I'm 40!
I've heard so many players say, well, I want to be happy. You want to be happy for a day? Eat a steak.
It's that woo woo.
And now, Dan and Ty.
Welcome back to the Solid Verbal, boys and girls. Ty Hildebrand here. Dan Rubenstein over there, Solid Verbal. At gmail.com, as always, is the email. Don't forget, we are on iTunes at itunes.com/Solid Verbal. We're also on Facebook. We're on Twitter. We're on Instagram. And we are now on Snapchat. Dan, how are you?
Yeah, we are. I'm good, Ty. I told you before we started, I had a couple pieces of Brazilian chocolate and I am jacked.
See, I didn't even know this was a thing.
Oh, yeah. The cacao bean, Ty.
The cacao,
very
okay.
big in various parts of the world. No, life is good. I'm excited. I think we're recording in the middle of, or maybe SEC Media Days just ended.
Oh, good.
It feels like wheels are turning in the direction of the college football season, and I'm very excited for
a lot of attacking mindsets and out-of-the-box thinking amongst defensive coordinators in the SEC.
People denied you out-of-the-box thinking for your attacking aggressive defensive style fantasy draft thing pickup.
I appreciate the strict interpretation of the rules. I really do. By the way, we need to settle this up front here because Bill Hancock was spinning some yarns about what the playoff may or may not do 5 years in the future. And we've got Bob Shoop and others talking about playing defense, thinking outside the box and whatnot. So we've been getting a lot of tweets regarding the fantasy things draft we did last week. I have put together a scoring matrix, a scoring system.
Good.
What we're going to do is we're just going to keep tally, like 1 point per week if there is some mention of something that you drafted, because quite frankly, there are just too many references and too many media outlets out there for us to keep track of them all. So it's just going to be a binary 1 or 0 in each column for each week. And what I think I need from the verballers out there in order to make this fly, I think we need like a tribunal of 3 people who listen, who love the cause, who want to monitor for a hashtag, maybe SV Fantasy as the hashtag. Mm-hmm. You can send it to us and hashtag it with that as well. But we need a tribunal of like 3 people who are going to have access to the score sheet, who can keep track, who can monitor, and who can keep the whole thing running for us. Because I know once the season gets going, there's no chance you or I are going to have a chance to keep tabs on all that's going on beyond what's going on the field. So this is what we need. We need 3 volunteers. Send in your resumes if you have them. We don't need resumes, but send in a tweet, an email if you're interested, and let us know if you'd be interested in helping, and then we can go from there. But I think that's probably the best way to go at this.
Yeah, that sounds right to me. We'll collect all relevant information, and we'll keep everybody abreast.
So with that said, Dan,
yes,
did something fun last week.
Yes, we did.
Gonna do something fun again this week, Dan. Would you like to intro the premise to our fine verballers?
I would love to. So, as you know, I am addicted to game shows and all such game show types of shows. So that we do here on the Solid Verbal. So I can only describe this though. I'm going to need some musical accompaniment, Ty. I'm going to need it.
How about this?
Oh, God, that sounds good. From the luxurious studios of the Solid Verbal in both Allentown, Pennsylvania, New York, New York. Welcome to Let's Make a College Football Deal.
Let's make a college football deal, shall we?
Let's make a college football deal. Now, did we look up the rules to Let's Make a Deal? Very briefly. We very briefly did, and we are mostly going to ignore them. But Let's Make a Deal is the game show in which people will choose something behind door number 1 or something from door number 2. And there's all sorts of audience participation. That's not what we're doing. But we have head-to-head matchups, mostly college football things. We're going to present each other with these head-to-head matchups and give an option of whether to select what's behind door number 1 or door number 2 and keep track of this throughout the season. And we are going to, much like Bob Shoop, think outside the box.
We are going to think outside the box.
That's what we do here.
That's what we do.
We are thinking outside of the box, inside the doorway, but outside the box. So basically, an example of this would be number of slices of pizza that Ty has eaten in one sitting, his record number of slices, or Alabama wins in 2016.
Okay. I gotcha. I see what you're doing.
Something like that.
I like this. I like this.
It could be Josh Rosen touchdown passes versus, let's call it, Virginia rushing touchdowns allowed. Something like that, where we're able to analyze things and make educated guesses and talk about teams in an interesting, fun, and silly way. So, Ty.
Yes.
I feel like you've really embraced this concept.
I have.
I want you to present me with a couple of options.
I can do that, Dan. Let's start off here with the number 1.
Okay.
Above the doorway, it says 1. One fumble. Dan, the first to fumble this season, you have 2 options.
Okay, door number 1.
Behind door number 1. Behind door number 1, you have Leonard Fournette. You know all about Leonard Fournette, right? Beast running back from LSU. Going to go highly in the NFL draft, no doubt about it. Behind door number 2.
How many fumbles did he have in 2015?
I can't tell you that information quite yet, but it wasn't many.
Oh, okay.
Wasn't many. I'm already telling you what's behind the door. Don't ask for more. You're getting greedy on me. Behind door number 2, we've got the LSU PR team, who, as you might remember, was quite prone to fumbling down the stretch when all this stuff was going on about Les Miles potentially getting fired at the end of last season. So the question is, the first to fumble this season, Leonard Fournette, he of running back fame at LSU, or the PR team, they have infamy at LSU.
Handling Les Miles.
Yes.
I'm going to go with door number 1 because...
Go Leo Fournette. We got to go Leo this year, right? Not Leonard. Leo.
I'm going Leo Fournette.
Yeah.
Going Leo Fournette because that is something that is more difficult to control. And I feel like the LSU administration perhaps has learned its lesson about how to handle leaks and ongoing decisions and conversations. So I'm going to say Leonard Fournette, playing in the SEC West, playing against the defensive fronts that he is going to face, will fumble a ball before LSU looks bad trying to protect a story.
I mean, you say that, but we're how many years removed from the whole Penn State debacle, and they still haven't learned their lesson on the PR front?
That's true. That's very true.
We're talking about institutions of higher learning here. They are stubborn to change their ways. And therefore, I don't have a whole lot of faith in any of these PR teams for what it's worth. The smart money is on Leo Fournette here, just because he's going to get 300 and some odd carries. But
yes,
the LSU PR team, if that offense down at LSU doesn't get its act together, there's a chance things could go south in a hurry. So we'll see what happens.
I think you're right. I think they'll handle it better. I do. I'm putting my faith in it. I don't know why.
That's fine.
Doing it.
All right, go on. Now it's your turn. Do you have a door for me or 2 doors for me?
I do have a door. I have a couple doors for you.
Okay.
Here is the category.
Yes.
We're going to go with category is lower number.
Lower
door number 1. The lower number. Okay, door number 1.
Lower number. Yep.
Oregon losses in 2016.
Okay.
Oregon losses. I think their over-unders about 8.5. For wins this year.
Yeah.
So that means it's about 3.5.
Okay.
And I'm going to say for this other one, it's Oregon losses. And do you have a number in mind right now in your head?
4.
Okay. It's a good number because will it be lower than the Texas Tech defense's miles of offense allowed?
Okay, now this is one where you got to tell me what happened last year.
I will absolutely tell you what happened last year. Now, Oregon, of course, even though they have an unproven quarterback, and whoever it will be unproven at the FBS level. They have a ton of skill position. Offensive line is kind of new. Brady Hoke comes in. I think everybody knows this. Defensively, a lot new up front. Secondary's all back.
Yeah.
So there's reason to be optimistic that this could be a 9 or 10 win Oregon season. They would only have 2 or 3 losses. Texas Tech's defense in 2015 allowed an FBS worst 4.04 miles of offense.
Whoa.
The Texas Tech defense allowed over 4 miles of offense. Now, something to keep in mind about Texas Tech, Ty. They returned Patrick Mahomes. It's a very good sign on offense.
Yeah.
Not much around him.
No.
So in terms of perhaps playing a little bit of ball control or playing a little bit slower on offense, they won't score as quickly. No Jakeem Grant, no DeAndre Washington. You might not get those big explosion plays. It might take a little longer, thus keeping the defense off the field and giving them rest. Defensively, Texas Tech, a new defensive line, pretty much. New linebackers, defensive backs are all back. I don't know if that's a good thing. But it will be a new look defense. They've hired new coaches on both sides of the ball. Texas Tech, it'd be really difficult. It'd be insanely impressive in a very twisted way for them to give up 4 miles of offense again.
Do you think they're going to be playing more attacking style this year, or what can we expect on the defensive front?
More aggressive, Ty. I think they're going to be more aggressive.
Here's the thing, though. Big 12 is going to be pretty good. I think from top to bottom, the Big 12 should be a pretty solid conference. So there aren't a whole lot of weaknesses in that schedule if you're playing a full-on, 9-game Big 12 schedule.
Their schedule's pretty even in terms of tough road and tough home games. It doesn't feel loaded in the way, and we're going to talk about a couple other teams a little later on. They're at Arizona State, they're at TCU, they're at Oklahoma State. But they have Oklahoma, Texas, and Baylor. Well, Baylor's a neutral site game. The other two are at home. So it's a balanced schedule, is what I'm saying.
All right. So I think that Oregon is going to have 4 losses. And I think just by virtue of Texas Tech making some changes defensively, their number in terms of mileage allowed has to be lower, ever so marginally lower than it was a year ago. So,
and even if it's 3.99 miles, Texas Tech is the lower number.
So I'm going to go Texas Tech as the lower of those two numbers, the least mileage.
Interesting.
Or whatever, relative to Oregon, 4 losses, let's say 398 miles allowed by the Texas Tech defense.
I'm very excited this is like the least possible important thing that we could be calculating throughout the season.
Yeah.
So like in week 7, you're like, oh my God, Texas Tech has given up 1.5 miles already. And Oregon has 2 losses. There's some inherent drama to that. There's going to be a bad week. There's going to be a week with no ranked games, and then we're just going to check in on this. I'm excited for this. I think Oregon's going to have the lower number.
We're going to need like a Plutarch from Hunger Games to manage all the games, all the mini games we've got going here on the show.
This is true. I don't understand that reference, but I'm in favor.
Somebody will.
All right. What do you got for me, Ty?
Above our next doorway, Dan.
Okay, here we go.
It reads in curly braces, the number 9.
Yeah.
The number 9.
Number 9. Okay.
Behind door number 1, we've got the final win total this season for the Iowa Hawkeyes.
Okay. The Iowa Hawkeyes return CJ Beathard. It's huge. Offense is in good shape.
Behind door number 2, we've got the number of Taylor Swift songs you can comfortably name off the top of your head.
Wow.
So here's the deal, right? This is a function of what you are confident in. Are you more confident in Iowa winning 9 games, or do you think right here, right now, you can give me 9 Taylor Swift songs?
Can I look up the Iowa schedule?
You can look up the Iowa schedule, sure.
Okay. So Miami of Ohio, win. Iowa State, I like Matt Campbell, but win. North Dakota State,
they're good. They're good. They're sneaky.
They are. They won the national championship again, but they lose Carson Wentz, and that's a big blow. He's been very good for them. I'm going to give North Dakota State the loss there, though, because it's in Kinnick. It's still a tough place to play, but
Iowa should win that. They should win that game.
Okay, they should. That's 3. At Rutgers should be 4. Northwestern at home should be 5. At Minnesota,
sneaky game.
It feels trappy. But it should be 6. At Purdue should be 7. Wisconsin with a brutal schedule. I'm going to say through 8 games, 7-1. I don't know if it's Wisconsin. I don't know if it's at Minnesota. I don't know if it's North Dakota State, but I'm going to say 7-1 through October 22nd. Back half of their schedule is at Penn State, should be a win, but Penn State, they've got one of the better running backs in the country.
7:30 game in State College.
2 new coordinators, but yes, it should be loud and passionate. Michigan at home. Michigan's going to be awful tough by then. They should have a pretty serviceable quarterback. At Illinois, Nebraska. They should go, even if they go 3-1 and 7-1, that's a 10-2 season. I'm going to say, and this is 9 you're asking me to name
9
Taylor Swift songs.
Yeah.
Mine. Trouble.
2.
Style.
That's 3.
Shake It Off.
Okay. That's 4. You're up to 4.
Love Song.
Okay.
Love
5.
Story, excuse me.
Love Story. We'll accept either. It's 5.
Love Story.
Yeah.
Oh God.
I should have put a time limit on
this.
this.
Yeah, you should have put a time limit on this, but okay. I'm trying to remember. So there's Tim McGraw.
Tim, is that a song?
Yes, that I think was her first single.
Okay. I don't know that one. 6.
Mean?
Mean?
Yeah, absolutely Mean.
Okay.
That's a definite song.
So you're talking deep cuts off the album here. You're a bigger Taylor Swift fan than I knew.
No, that's
I don't know
song.
any of
I
these
like
songs.
Mean.
Okay.
Why'd you have to be so mean?
Yeah, okay.
22. That's
go.
one, right?
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I'm
4,
feeling 22.
5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, you need one more now.
Okay, I said Trouble. How about We're Never Getting Back Together?
Boom. There you go. 9. So now you don't even have to pick Iowa.
Well, I have 9 wins for Iowa. Oh, no, I have 10 for Iowa or 9 for... I have 9 for Iowa. Okay. I have another one. Let me hear it in my head. 1 second. So if I get to 10, our song.
Okay.
That's a song.
Yeah.
So that's 10. There it is.
There you go. I don't know what we accomplished there, but
I'm saying Taylor Swift is the higher one.
Yeah.
And I'm right. As of right now. Unless, well, listen, if Iowa wins 11 or 12 games, then I'm wrong.
Okay. Fair enough.
There it is. All right.
Next up.
Here's my next up. Here we go.
Hold on. That's a drawbridge sound. I just got a drawbridge sound before we hit record.
Medieval.
I need to use that at some point this season. Yeah. Intense. All right, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. Above the doors, above door number 1 and door number 2, it reads, 1st to 3,000. First to 3,000. Will it be Christian McCaffrey's all-purpose yards? Now, his background. He set an NCAA record last year with 3,864 yards.
That's incredible.
Beating Barry Sanders like 3,240 or 50, something like that. Stanford this year, as we all know, new quarterback. It's a relatively new offensive line. No Josh Garnett, who might have been the best guard. If you look up the offensive line stats on Pro Football Focus's college site, Josh Garnett, their highest graded guard from last year. No Devin Cajuste, a big weapon. They're pretty new on defense up front, and it's pretty decent in the back 8. Their schedule's impossible. And so with a new quarterback and a schedule that's Kansas State in the non-con, at UCLA, at Washington, at Notre Dame, at Oregon, not ideal for an offense.
Right.
So Christian McCaffrey and his ability to get to 3,000, you would assume by like the 10th or 11th game, if he is having this type of season he had last year and they use him in the same way and he's able to survive more attention with a new quarterback, that feels somewhere around the vicinity.
Okay.
Versus Syracuse quarterback Eric Dungey getting to 3,000 yards. Himself, both throwing and running. There's a dual threat.
I'm going to go Eric Dungey.
So Eric Dungey playing that wide open Dino Babers offense, who last year, certainly Matt Johnson went for almost 5,000 yards just passing. But Eric Dungey, much more of an athlete, I would say, than Matt Johnson. The year before that, the backup quarterback, when Matt Johnson went down, went over 3,000 throwing. Right. Syracuse returns their best 3 receivers, their best 2 running backs. They do replace some offensive linemen. The defense up front is mostly new, but in the back 7 or 8, they all return, and their schedule tie is maybe the worst in the nation. They have LSU in the non-con And then these defenses: Boston College, Florida State, Louisville, Clemson, and an improving Pitt and USF.
I mean,
certainly
that's
nobody
not
really wanted any of these
ideal,
USF.
I would say.
Right. So even those first five: LSU, Boston College, Florida State, Louisville, Clemson.
Wow.
So he's got to get over 3,000 yards, and he's got to do it before Christian McCaffrey does. So you like Eric Dungey?
Here's the danger with going with Christian McCaffrey. You're banking on him having the same kind of season he had a year ago, knowing full well that there's plenty of turnover in the offense, knowing full well that if they lean on him as hard as we're kind of expecting, maybe there's a greater risk of injury there. You never know.
Yeah. Newer offensive lineman.
Yeah, to put 3,000 yards on a guy is a lot.
Receiving, returning, and rushing.
I'm still going to say Eric Dungey.
Okay. I think I'm with you.
I think I'm going to say Eric
I'm
Dungey.
feeling good about this.
Yeah, I'm going to say
They've got
Eric
some
Dungey.
secretly talented receivers, and even though it's a new offensive line, that offense, that Baylor-esque offense, they get rid of the ball very quickly. So I'm going Dungey, and I'm expecting some explosion plays, even against those schools. I think he's going to put up yards. And hey, if Syracuse is bad and that defense is bad, he's going to get a ton of garbage yards.
Yeah, I'm going with Eric Dungey.
Okay.
New system. Dino's going to want to air it out. Got a talented
playing on that
quarterback.
fast track carrier dome field.
Fast track carrier dome field. Yeah. Yeah, I kind of like it. And I like Christian McCaffrey a lot. But yeah, give me Eric Dungey.
Okay.
All right.
Next.
Would you like to be the envy of your group, Dan?
Always, Ty. Always, always, always.
We've got the inside scoop here on The Verbal, where to get the latest tech gadgets and gear, fashions, decor for your lifestyle. It is all available at touchofmodern.com. That's where you can find it all with the best prices on the web. Again, it's touchofmodern.com. Go there now. You can connect directly with all the top designers, timeless and unique products that tell a story. Each item is hand-selected to grab, to clasp your attention, all at the very best prices online, anywhere, guaranteed. We've said it once, we've said it twice, we've said it thrice, we've said it time and time again. We've been to touchofmodern.com. We have both ordered some really cool stuff at touchofmodern.com. If you're looking for a gift for a hard to buy for individual, touchofmodern.com has some really cool ideas. We would advise you check it out. They scour the globe for all sorts of unique design-focused products that are going to help you elevate your style. So whether it's a tech gadget or, I don't know, an iPhone case, a watch of some sort, if you're into watches, they've got fashion, they've got accessories, all sorts of things to get you noticed. And they've got sales that literally launch every single day over at touchofmodern.com, the one website you can go to improve both your lifestyle and your style in a single click. So right now, our listeners can get immediate access to these deals and much, much more when they sign up at touchofmodern.com. That is touchofmodern.com. Dan, do it today because tomorrow it's going to be different. That, after all, is how life rolls in the fast lane.
Yes, I can attest. That is exactly true.
Moving on.
Hit me, Ty.
Let's make a college football deal here.
Let's do it. Let's make a deal. Come on, I'm ready.
The first to two losses is what hangs above the doorway.
Okay.
Behind door numero uno, we've got USC, the vaunted Trojans, now under the tutelage of one Clay Helton. They've got a new quarterback.
Lynn Swan.
And Lynn Swan, thank you.
Yeah.
Behind door number two, we've got Big Orange. We've got Tennessee. We've got two teams that are... I'm not even going to play the hype train sound. Actually, I will.
Do it.
One that's always on the hype train. Another that is, jumping aboard this year. Maybe not for the first time, but in a more intense way this season. USC versus Tennessee. Which is the
first
team?
Two losses.
Which is the team that gets the two losses first? So let me read through something for you. USC schedule. By the way, we've talked about week 1 ad nauseum at this point. USC on Saturday, September 3rd at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern in Arlington squares off against Alabama. Now, I don't care how good you feel about USC. you look at that game, and I think you have to mentally go to a spot where you're thinking loss. Right off the bat, loss for USC. Does that sound fair to you?
It's not unfair, but I wouldn't write it in pen.
Fair enough. Don't etch it in the stone yet.
Right.
Alabama's going to be favored there, but there's one loss. Then we go Utah State the following week. Should be a win. To Stanford the next week. Should be a win, maybe?
I don't know about that.
Then we go.
I think there's more to like about Stanford than there is about USC right now.
Then we go to Utah. Then we come back home against ASU, come back home against Colorado, and then go on the road before a bye week the following week. October 15th at Arizona. I would
stop you right there.
Yeah.
I would stop you right there. I wouldn't even go past October 1st. The first Saturday of October, so we're talking about basically a month in.
Yeah.
Which of these two teams is more likely to go 3-2?
Okay. You can.
I would say
you can do it that way if you want.
I would say that USC has more losable games of their first 5 than Tennessee does, because Tennessee has both. And listen, App State's really good. App State can beat Tennessee the first week. I think it's the first week, right?
Yeah.
App State, Tennessee, it's the first week of the season. But Tennessee also has Ohio. Tennessee has a MAC team on their schedule. They have 2 games where you say to yourself, Tennessee is vastly better talent-wise than App State and Ohio. They have Virginia Tech, Florida, and Georgia, the other 3. So I think it's easier to pencil in 3 wins for Tennessee than it is for USC. So I'm going to say USC is the first to 2 losses.
This is interesting one way or the other, because I think we have the answer by October 15th. I'm not saying both these teams.
So do you think it? Okay.
I'm not saying both these teams are going to lose 2 games. Maybe not all year, right? Who knows? Who knows how?
And they both play Alabama by the 15th, right? Yeah.
But they both play Alabama by October 15th. So whether you're talking week 1 or week 7, I think they've got a common opponent, and then there's going to be one other loss drizzled in there. It's just a matter of when it comes for Tennessee. So we'll see.
Yeah, and in that span, so Tennessee has Florida, Georgia, Texas A&M. Now, Georgia's defense is rebuilding up front, especially, but Florida's defense still returns a good amount of people, and you have Myles Garrett in the defensive front for Texas A&M there. So there's body blowage right there for Tennessee. So you could lose a game that you probably shouldn't, but you're just exhausted and worn down, whatever. USC has Alabama, and they have a not insignificant Utah State team, but certainly not on the level of Alabama, Stanford, Utah, ASU. So you have a Stanford, Utah, both on the road body blow situation, and that comes after an Alabama game.
Yeah, exactly.
That's rough.
Yeah.
That's a very physical man ball opening September, or opening 4 weeks for USC.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't.
And it happens before Tennessee's.
You can't accuse USC of having a weak schedule. They've got a pretty tough schedule in the beginning. So you're going USC.
No, it's a rough September.
Most likely to get 2 losses USC. Okay.
Yes, 2 losses before the other team. Yeah.
Where are we going next?
We're going next to higher number.
Sorry, higher number.
Higher number. So you have to choose between these 2 doors, which is going to have the higher number.
Okay.
So I need you to think about, and I need you to give me an honest answer. And this is what I have, and I'll give you my notes as well. Behind door number 1 is the number of women Ty would be uncomfortable running into at the Wegmans prepared food counter with wife Kate.
Okay.
So before you think of that number, in my notes, I have here, Ty is notoriously charming and good on his feet, but like most of us, can be flummoxed or overwhelmed by unforeseen circumstances.
Sure. That's fair.
So the number, so I'm not, listen, this is a completely G-rated question.
Right.
This does not involve your romantic entanglements necessarily, anything like that. But, there is a certain amount of awkwardness. Like, oh God, I just want the situation to be over. You can imagine that happening.
Believe me, when you're as big a star as I am here in the Lehigh Valley, you have many enemies, both men and women alike. So there are numerous people who could be on this list.
more the tension because you did not expect to see them there, and
Right.
your lovely wife is there.
Right.
I think about that number. Think about what awkwardness entails.
Yeah. Okay. I got it.
Do you have that number?
I do have that number. Yeah.
Okay. What is that number, Ty?
Honestly, it's not that high.
I was trying to think of like how many would it just be awkward for, and it's like at this point, like I wouldn't care about a number of situations. 6, 7, 8.
Yeah. See, I'm usually pretty good about that kind of thing, and
Okay.
I wouldn't even worry so much about wife Kate being with me. It's just people that would make me uncomfortable to be around for a variety of reasons. So I'd probably put that number no higher than 4.
No higher than 4.
Yeah.
Okay, this is going to make it very easy for you.
Okay.
That number versus number of LSU wins in 2016. Bill Connolly's number 2 overall predicted team with his advanced metrics.
So you're thinking here that I'm good at making enemies. I'm a lover. I'm not a hater.
Okay. Listen, I'm not saying enemies, Ty. I'm saying awkwardness.
No, I get it.
I'm saying
I get it.
you could have gone on an awkward tapa date when you were 24.
Right.
And it was particularly awkward. You've told a story about this date to people, and all of a sudden you're ordering your salmon and mashed potatoes, and all of a sudden it's like, did we went and got tapas, and there was like a very uncomfortable caricature artist that drew us, and it was a very strange date, and you are sitting there with wife Kate thinking, this needs to end. This situation needs to be over.
I'm going to go LSU
That's all it
wins.
could be.
I'm going to go
You're going
LSU
LSU wins.
Confidently.
Interesting.
LSU wins. I've learned to embrace the awkwardness. So give me LSU wins.
Again, but if the awkwardness is there, it's awkwardness.
This is true. I'm still going to go LSU wins.
Okay.
All right.
Interesting. Okay. Fair. All right. What do you got for me?
Above the door. I'm going drawbridge again. I love that sound.
It's a great sound.
The first to 10.
Okay.
It just says, it just generally speaking, the first to 10. No context for it. Behind door number 1, we have Saquon Barkley rushing touchdowns.
Okay.
Behind door number 2, we have Christian Kirk receiving touchdowns. Here is why this is interesting.
Not all purpose, so no return touchdowns.
No return touchdowns. We're talking rushing versus receiving. Here's why this is interesting.
Texas A&M versus Penn State.
Exactly. Saquon, Say, as we call him, here in Eastern PA. He's from Whitehall, which is nearby. He had 7 a year ago, Dan, and that was behind a line that was really bad. This year now, he's got new offensive coordinator from Fordham, Joe Moorhead. I think the line should be, a little better. Can't be any worse. It's not saying a whole lot, but it can't be any worse.
Right.
On the other side now, you've got Christian Kirk, who in his own right is going through some changes. It might be a better thing for him.
Aren't we all, Ty?
Aren't we all? The only thing constant is change.
Yeah.
But his new quarterback is Trevor Knight. It's not going to be Kyle Allen or Kyler Murray. Trevor Knight's the quarterback. Trevor Knight, by the way, the only name I think that we've referenced on this show who we already know makes Katy Perry's eyes twinkle.
Not a lot of backup quarterbacks do.
No, of course not. You could argue he beat Bama 2 years ago, and that was the highlight of his career, if we're being honest. But
you don't need to argue. He definitely did.
So who knows what's going to happen first? That's why I'm asking you the first to 10. Is it Saquon, who had 7 a year ago? Is it Christian Kirk in that new system now with Trevor Knight at quarterback? Who gets to 10 first?
I think, and how many did Christian Kirk have last year? Did you tell me this
I
already?
want to say 7.
So they both had the same number.
I will look this
Saquon
up
Barkley
again.
and Christian Kirk. Look it up.
I'm going to look this up.
Penn State does not have a great schedule this year.
No.
They have Pitt and Temple in the non-con. 2 teams that are at the very least above average. And they play, I believe, I'm looking here, I would say arguably the 4 best teams in the Big Ten. They don't miss anybody. They have Michigan, Michigan State, Iowa, and Ohio State. If he's scoring a mix of 0, 1, and 2 touchdowns a week, I would put him, I'd say it probably takes until at least the Ohio State game, October 22nd. Maybe the Purdue game, October 29th.
Seems fair. Yeah.
I'm going to say Saquon Barkley gets to 10 scores before Christian Kirk because I'm not fully buying into Trevor Knight, which, by the way, Ty, tangent, I had this discussion earlier with our friend Ryan Nanny. There are a number of situations, like if there were a trophy given out to we called it the one man's treasure trophy.
Mm-hmm.
So which discarded coach or player was scooped up and now seen as a savior? So is it Trevor Knight? Is it Trevor Knight? Is it Brady Hoke? Is it Mark Richt? I think it is Mark Richt.
I think it's Mark Richt, yeah.
I think it has to be because Texas A&M with Trevor Knight are like, well, he beat Bama and then he got benched. And the Brady Hoke thing is like, well, we're really going to talk ourselves into him, but he can recruit and his defenses were good against non-spread teams. So
can I tell a quick story here, just as a tangent?
Please. Yeah, I'm going Barkley.
When we did our show out in Arizona, remember we were right next to the fine folks from SiriusXM. And at one point,
I remember this well.
At one point, Brady Hoke comes walking in. And it was right around the time where there were rumors circulating that he could be the guy at Oregon, right? The savior to lead the defense back from the brink of whatever. And the look on your face was really priceless, I got to say. I think you were about like 45% of the way towards like walking up to him and asking him, hey, are you going to be the next guy at Oregon? I also think there was about 55% of you that was scared of the answer, which is why you ultimately didn't. You were so conflicted. That was the most conflicted I think I've ever seen you in my life. You
know what my memory was? And I totally had blocked that out. Thank you for dragging that up.
I'm sorry.
My memory of broadcasting next to them, the serious people, was, and I think they're considerably older than either one of us, right? The guys on air?
To some degree, some
like I would say it's fair to say decades in some cases.
In some cases, but guys like Chris Childers and I mean they're about our age.
Yeah, that's true. I don't remember who it was. Maybe it was Jack Arute there. It was one of those guys who was definitely older.
Yeah.
And we would be sitting around, you would be fiddling with our electronics, our audio setup, whatever. I'd be poking around on the internet. And we just hear talking of just like, hey, oh, you run into Jim, you handle, like just like real small talky over there. And like, oh, what do you think? Oh, yeah, we'd talk to the Clemson guy, blah, blah, blah. And then they would get a signal that they were back from commercial or something. And it would just be the outburst. Yes. So it would be all of a sudden they're talking like, okay, so and this guy's coming on from this. And all of a sudden we would just be sitting there and like, the sneezing panda baby shocking the mother, they were just like, welcome back. Just this booming radio voice shot out of a cannon. Yeah. By the way, in a quiet banquet room, right? A quiet banquet hall. Startling. Yeah. I don't know what age has to do with any of that. Well, I think it was just the low end, that the gravelly part of their voice. Oh, right. The huskiness. Like, yeah. Yeah, it's like top of the hour. We've got Lou Holtz, Vince Dooley coming up. Yeah. Yeah, they'd always have like these older guests on. It was great. It was just, I was like, man, where's the medium? Where's the in-between, fellas? I got a lot of intensity scared, though, a couple times. Yeah, because then they'd be listening to a guest. They listen to a guest and you're just like, oh, what's going on right now? And they're like, but what about the defense coach? They do a good job. I like College Sports Nation. That was my recollection. I don't have satellite radio, so I don't know, but they do a good job. But that was funny. That was funny. I forgot about that too. Top of the hour back here. All right. I got one more. All right. The first to 11. I have one more as well. Yeah. The first to 11. First to 11. Deshaun Watson rushing touchdowns. Clemson quarterback Deshaun Watson. Oh God, you're killing me. Yeah.
Deshaun Watson.
Quarterback, first to 11.
First to 11. Deshaun Watson, rushing touchdowns. Indoor
his rushing
touchdowns.
How many did he have last year?
He had 12 last year. Behind door number 1. All right.
Yeah.
Behind door number 2.
Threat star.
Behind door number 2, we've got Mitch Trubisky. They tell me he's the new quarterback at UNC.
Yes, that's true.
Larry Fedora and his 8-pack, like to throw the football around. So he's going to have ample opportunity to throw interceptions. So
yes,
the question here behind door 1 is Deshaun Watson rushing touchdowns. Behind door number 2, Mitch Trubisky and his interception count, which will be the first to 11 between those two.
Do you like North Carolina this year?
I like North Carolina every year. How dare you? How dare you even ask me that question?
So on your Tar Heel meter of your infatuation with buying in North Carolina winning their division, how does this year compare to other years?
I'm a little down on them this year compared to other years.
Okay.
By the way, North Carolina, full disclosure, we have a lot of new listeners that have found us this offseason. Let's go through the quick list of teams that I like no matter what. North Carolina, Ole Miss, Texas. Is there another school? ASU? Can we throw ASU in there? That's 4.
Yeah, you like ASU pretty consistently.
I'm always high on ASU. I feel like there are more, but those are 4, just to give people some sort of frame of reference here. North Carolina is one of them. I like them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're gonna be good on offense. They're always good on offense. The question here of Mitch Trubisky, it's a pure guess. He's a new starting quarterback. It's a tougher conference than a lot of people I think would realize, and he's going to throw it a lot. So
Marquise Williams had 10 last year.
He had 10. Mm-hmm. Trubisky could throw the ball more than Marquise Williams for sure. By the way, you can throw 11 interceptions in that system and still have a really good year.
Absolutely.
So who gets to 11 first? Is it Trubisky and 11 interceptions, or is it Deshaun Watson and 11 rushing touchdowns?
So Deshaun Watson had 12 last season.
Yep.
He got his 12th against Oklahoma in the semis. I'm going to say Trubisky, and here's why. I think Deshaun Watson is not going to run the ball that much. And I don't think there are going to be called zone read types plays. I think they're going to, especially going into his NFL draft eligible year, he is going to be particularly unmobilized. So I could see him maxing out at around 7, 8, 9 rushing touchdowns. I'm going to load Clemson's schedule right now. I mean, there could be some guppies on there early. It wouldn't surprise me. But I think for the most part, even against those teams, he's going to be pulled pretty, vigilantly. So they open against Auburn.
Good opening game, by the way.
Good opening game.
Yeah.
I think it's South Carolina State and Troy in successive weeks. Georgia Tech on the road. Louisville, Boston College, NC State, Florida State, Syracuse, Pitt, Wake Forest, South Carolina. So they've got good defenses on here. I assume Pitt's going to be improved. Florida State should be nasty. BC should be, again, good. Louisville should be nasty. I'm going to say Trubisky. I'm just going to say mistakes are bound to happen. I think he gets there first. I don't think Deshaun Watson, coached by Dabo Swinney,
Stop it. I'm going to fall off my stool here.
6:33 in the evening. Dabo Swinney, head coach Clemson, joins us. Coach, let me get you started here on this obviously magical season in 2015, but moving forward.
So accurate. It's so accurate.
Yeah.
Oh, you're killing me.
Coach Swinney down here on the Instalube hotline. Coach, first of all, happy late Easter. How are the wives?
Stop, you're killing me.
I don't know why I just implied that Dabo Swinney's a polygamist, but here we are.
Okay. What you said you're going with?
Okay, yeah, I'm going with Trubisky. Yeah.
Oh man, this is off the rails.
All right. Final item.
Yes, please.
We talked about your love of the Big 12, the 2016 Big 12.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go. So this is I'm trying to describe how to describe it. So I'm going to stay Taylor Swift. I'm staying Taylor Swift.
Okay.
And it's going to be how many of Taylor Swift's love interests can you name? Versus, let's get to this number first. It could be current. It could be past. Okay. How many do you have?
Tom Hiddleston.
Come on, Tom.
Is current, right?
Tom Hiddleston's the current guy. Yeah, he's the guy from Thor. I learned that.
He's Loki. I learned that as well.
He's Loki. Yeah, he's Loki and low-key.
Calvin Harris. I almost said Calvin Ridley, but no, it's Calvin Harris.
Big Twitter fight today. Big Twitter fight.
Really?
Yeah. I don't think Taylor Swift was involved, but he sent out a string of tweets saying that Taylor Swift ghost wrote a song with him. And then he was like, you're going to cause some sort of big rift and controversy like you did with Katy Perry. And then Katy Perry joined in on it. It was wonderful, Ty.
So he's saying he knew she was trouble when she walked in.
I mean, obviously he didn't,
okay.
Or he would have avoided her.
There was
Calvin Harris, big British producer.
Harry Styles.
Taylor Swift, Anglophile.
Shut up.
On the Instalube hotline.
Harry Styles.
Okay, so we got 3.
Harry Styles, Jake Gyllenhaal, John Mayer.
Correct.
That's 5.
5. Yep.
John Mayer. That creeps me out.
Yeah, it's real weird.
I don't think I can name anymore. I think 5 is probably my limit.
Okay. So the number is 5. You missed on Joe Jonas, Taylor Lautner, and the Kennedy. I don't know his name. She dated a Kennedy summer. So number is 5. That versus the 2016 Baker Mayfield interceptions. Last year he had 7.
Ooh.
Oklahoma.
Wow. He doesn't have Sterling Shepard this year, which will hurt him a little bit.
He does not, but a lot of the offense is back. He's got 2 great running backs.
Wow, 5. 5 is low. I got to go over. I got to go interceptions there.
Okay, interesting. So they have Houston early on, which should have a pretty good to good defense.
Yeah.
I think it's fair to say. Oh, it's the first week of the season. Oklahoma, Houston, September 3rd. And then they have Ohio State a couple weeks later.
Is there anybody out there who doesn't hear that they play Houston week 1 who isn't tempted to go Houston plus the points, like sight unseen?
Plus whatever?
Plus whatever.
Are they getting the plus whatever?
They're not
nominee?
getting. Well, they might. We got to start that too. We got all sorts of ideas for this coming year. But
oh yeah,
Houston plus whatever is something to root for. If you're not an Oklahoma fan, right? If you're an Oklahoma fan, then disregard this. But if you're like many of the rest of us and you're not cheering on openly for Oklahoma, the prospect of going Houston plus whatever is pretty intriguing, pretty exciting. Root for the underdog week 1 in the nerd.
And then you could have week 2, Oklahoma, letdown look ahead sandwich against Louisiana Monroe, Ohio State the next week, Houston the previous week, Fun Row.
If they lose to Fun Row, Bob Stoops is getting fired.
The first 5 weeks of the season could mean 4 pretty good to very good defenses. Houston, Ohio State at TCU. I don't know where is I think the Houston game is at.
It's in.
It's a neutral site game,
it's
right?
It's NRG Stadium. It's in Houston.
It's NRG. Okay. Yeah. So it's in Houston, but it's not at Houston.
Correct.
Houston, Ohio State on the road against TCU. And then I think another neutral site game. It's Oklahoma, Texas. Yeah. In Dallas, obviously. The Cotton Bowl.
Right.
So Texas defense, there's an entire possibility that they're pretty good defensively. So he could have 7 by October 8th.
Coming back at you, top of the hour here. Thanks for joining us. Sorry, go ahead.
Oklahoma Sooners boys, Norman. Coming at you, talking to Coach Barry Switzer.
We got to end this show.
I'm going to miss the offseason.
These people are going to hate us. I have no problem with any of these people.
No, it's fine because it's this weird reverence where it's like Coach Switzer wasn't like
who
this
do we
when
know?
you were
We know.
coaching, I'll tell you that.
We know Braden. Braden Gall. DM him after.
Yeah, no, he doesn't fall into that category.
DM him and tell him we love him all. Andy Staples is on SM or Sirius XM. We love him too. We got to end this show. We're making enemies.
Coach, I you on the mouth.
We're making enemies. Stop it. You're killing me here. I'm sweating.
How about that, Joe? Instalube.
All right. Good show. Good show. I'm not even going to do my hypotheticals. Can't even say it. Not even going to do my hypothetical. I don't remember what it was. we're coming off the swivel here. So look, here's the deal. Fun game tonight. It was your idea. Credit where it's due. Email us, tweet us, send us a Facebook message if you're interested in helping keep score with not only what we did here tonight, but also what we did last week. Hashtag SV Fantasy. Hashtag SV Fantasy. If you find something, if you're interested in, seeing if it should be submitted to our score sheet, hashtag us. Also tag our Twitter account. We're going to keep track of it through Twitter. It's the easiest for us, and it's going to be the easiest for our tribunal as soon as we can assemble them. All right?
Yes. That
We'll also
all
keep track
sounds
of this
correct.
too. So we got how many shows now before we start doing previews? Like 3 more shows, if that?
Something like that. And next, I'm really hoping it'll be next week or the week after. We're going to do our most off-topic show ever, but we're going to try to release 2 shows that week.
Yeah.
So we're going to try to release a college football show and a non-college football show that week. We are finalizing talks to have our friend Bill Barnwell on.
Yes.
To do the deepest of dives on, as promised, sort of turn of the century, basically like 98 to 2005 pop punk and emo. Maybe we'll figure out some sort of rankings to go through.
Yeah.
So we have at least some organization to that.
Don't email me or Dan if
don't add us.
Yeah. Don't add us if you're perturbed that we're doing one completely off topic show this off season. This has been we have talked about this, doing a show like this for like 3 years now.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when Michael Jordan played baseball. It's just something we want to do. We want to try it.
Yeah.
So if it's not for you, don't download it. That's fine. But,
no. Download it. Don't listen.
Okay, right. Download it, but don't listen.
We have sponsors, Ty.
I forgot. Download it, but don't listen if you don't want to. That's fine.
Right.
But we're going to do the emo show.
Yeah, absolutely. We are. We're going to get really real.
Yeah.
I had a couple of other requests of you. I wanted to thank people.
Of me?
I haven't thanked.
Oh yeah.
Time.
Thank.
I just okay. So there are like people that are just always very, very supportive and tweeting out. And we did this during the last season. We're going to do it during this season as well. But the fact that people stick around in the off season for our nonsense and sort of serious and fun interviews and scheme theme stuff, that's all just beyond amazing. And Shane Stambaugh, I'm going off the top of my head. Shane Stambaugh is always supporting the show. Andrew Sidebottom, does that name ring a bell for you, Ty?
Yeah.
Matt Williamson, or it's M. Williamson. I actually don't know if it's Matt. It might be Matt.
It's Matt. Yeah.
Dak, our guy Dak is always on Facebook. I don't know his name, but it's maybe a Steve / maybe a Crook. I think we met him out in Arizona. He came to the live show.
Okay. Yep.
Razor Hamon is a longtime supporter.
That's classic.
I want to say Rahm Emanuel. It's not always public, but has always... I don't know what that was.
The SEC Overlord over in Australia.
The SEC Overlord in Australia. The SEC logo. Our pal Steve Palazzolo, who's over at Pro Football Focus, and we're going to hopefully do some stuff with them this fall and sort of share all the great statistical analysis that they have. Chris Howell is a rabid fan.
Oh, yeah.
And very excited for him. Walker Carey has always stood by us thick and thin. The wife, Kate.
Yeah.
That's just for your wife, Kate. Fourth and Jort is always supporting us. And it's one of those things where to support us, we don't need your money, ask for your money. Sometimes we sell shirts and it's great when you buy them. That's an awesome thing. But if you tweet out the show, if you go on iTunes and you leave a review, if you subscribe on iTunes, even if you don't listen on iTunes, that always helps because iTunes is a great place for people to discover podcasts. If you tell a friend, that's great. But it's really cool that people support us all year round, and we are entirely grateful.
Yeah, I've got all sorts of names here in the inbox. Kevin, Joshua, David, Nathan, Zachary, Michael. I'm just doing first names.
You're not giving
here.
last names?
David, CJ, Ryan. Who else? Chris, Mark, Mike, Jeff, Mike, Ethan. All these people who wrote in with scoring suggestions for our fantasy things, for other topics. You name it. We get a ton of emails from people. We thank you all. Again, solidverbal@gmail.com. Email us if something's on your mind, if you want to, again, help out with any of our madness here, or if you've got something else that you'd like to hear us cover, hear us talk about here, as we do now slowly build towards week 1. It's coming up very quickly. I feel like it's come up quicker than ever before this offseason.
Week 1 around the corner.
I don't know why it is, but it seems like for some reason it's really staring us in the face here.
Yeah.
Shorter, quicker than we would. I can't even talk. It's coming.
It's great.
Yeah. All right. Well, Dan, this is fun. You finally took me off the rails, so thank you.
Yeah, of course.
We thank all of you who downloaded the show, who continue to subscribe at itunes.com/solidverbal. Do email us, do tweet us, send us a Facebook message, look us up on Instagram and Snapchat. Thank you, as always, for your support. In the meantime, for that guy over there, Dan Rubenstein, for myself, Ty Hildenbrand, thanks again for tuning into the Solid Verbal. We'll catch you all in a week. Stay solid.
Peace.